This happened almost 4 years ago in the early hours of New Year's Day. For reference, I was 17 at the time and in my senior year of high school. I'm a male and I'm about 5'10" and weighed about 160 pounds at the time. I lived in the suburbs and I was at a New Year's party being held by my friend at his house, which was a 20-minute walk away from my house. It was about 1 in the morning and I was about to leave with another friend of mine who lived on the same block as me. My friend who was hosting the party asked if we would like a ride home, and in hindsight, we probably should have accepted his offer, but our neighborhood was pretty safe, and we figured that with the two of us walking together, no one would bother us. Plus, there was probably other people at the party who needed a ride home more than we did. We said our goodbyes to everyone and began our walk home. The road was predictably empty with no one but us walking along the sidewalk and maybe the occasional car passing by. It was pretty well lit though, so we weren't walking in complete darkness. My friend wanted to pick up a pack of cigarettes on the way home, so we stopped off at a gas station along the way. When we got to the gas station, it was nearly empty with only a woman at a pump filling up her car with gas, and a guy posted up in front of the store on his phone. We went inside, and my friend picked up a pack of cigarettes. We walked out of the store, and my friend immediately lights a cigarette. We reach the sidewalk, and we hear someone behind us yell,
"Hey, wait!"
We look behind us to see the guy who was in front of the store quickly walking towards us. He looked to be in his early to mid-20s. He was probably about 5'8" and maybe 140 pounds from the looks of him. He approached us and asked if he could get a light. My friend and I didn't think much of it, and he lit the guy's cigarette. The guy thanked him, and my friend said, "You're welcome." We began walking away when the guy continued to follow us, asking where we were going. We told him we were heading home and asked him where he was going. He said his friends were at a party and he was heading back over there as he left to get some fresh air for a bit. He asks us if we wanted to come to the party. This is officially the point where red flags start going off with this guy. Why the hell would a guy in his 20s ask 2 teenage boys if they wanted to go to a party with him? We told him bluntly that we didn't even know who he was, nor did we know anyone at the party he was talking about, so we weren't going. He starts laughing and says that we seem like cool guys to party with. He told us that we needed to let loose a little. My friend and I told him that we were 18 and 17 respectively, to see if maybe that would get him to leave us alone. He chuckled and said that age didn't matter to him and that he had a brother who was 16 and that he partied with him and his friends all the time. Jesus Christ, can't this guy take a hint? I thought to myself. We were a little less than 10 minutes away from our houses, and we didn't want this creep following us all the way there. I told him firmly, "Dude, we're not going anywhere with you. Now quit following us and fuck off." He gets livid and starts screaming at us for being unfriendly, inconsiderate assholes, and that he was just trying to be nice. He then starts throwing racial slurs at my friend. It's probably worth mentioning by now that I'm white and my friend is black. My friend yells at him to get away from him before he cracks him in the face, and the guy proceeded to run away from us. My friend and I look at each other in complete disgust over what happened and spent the next 5 minutes walking and talking about this creepy guy. We both agreed that he was probably drunk or high from a New Year's party. Next thing we know, we hear a car behind us and proceeded to slow down to match our pace. We see the windows roll down, which revealed the guy we had just seen a few minutes earlier, with who we presumed to be one of his friends. One of them was a man who was probably the same age as the guy, and a woman in the back seat who had to have been in her mid-30s. The guy tells us that we got off on the wrong foot and asks us once again to join them at the party. My friend and I looked at each other, and I whispered to him that we needed to get away from them. My friend tells them that we're not going with them and to leave us alone already. The guy was silent for a few seconds and said,
"You're coming with us, one way or another."
They pull over and quickly get out of the car, which caused my friend and I to immediately go into flight mode. We turned right on a side block and my friend yelled, "Run to the park, we'll lose them in there." We look behind us and to our horror, the 3 people were running right for us. We run into the park and we once again look behind us and they're getting closer. We run into the dark, thick patch of trees that covered a good portion of the west side of the park, hoping to evade them. I was panicking at this point because I couldn't see a damn thing, and I was worried that my friend and I would trip over something and get captured by one of those sick freaks who wanted to do who knows what with us. We hear one of them trip and fall behind us, yelling,
"Fuck!"
And luckily we see light again, and we make it to another path in the park, and we made a left onto the path. We heard yelling behind us, and one of the guys said that they lost us. The woman yells to split up and search around the park for us. We bolt towards the bathrooms, which thankfully were open, and we hide inside. We took a minute to catch our breath, as our lungs were practically burning at that point. We should have called the cops and just hid until they got there, but at the time, we were so focused on getting the hell away from those crazy people that we decided to try and make our way to the nearest exit of the park and run to my house. We waited for about 2 minutes, and we bolted out of the bathroom and towards the park exit. Shortly before we exited the park, we hear one of the guys yell behind us that he found us and we were getting away. We look behind us to see the guy in the distance starting to chase after us. We ran until we reached my house, and I quickly opened the door. We ran inside, and I quickly locked it. We went into my living room and collapsed on the couch. We both sat there silently, trying to regain our energy and calm down after what had happened, hoping they didn't see where we ran to. I looked out the window several times over the course of 10 minutes, and thankfully, they never showed up again. We talked about it, and we were glad that we were both okay and nothing bad happened to us. We were trying to figure out what they wanted with us. Did they want to kill us, rob us, have sex with us? God only knows. My friend hung around for another half hour before he insisted on heading home. He left, and then I went to bed. I kept thinking about what had happened and pondered on what would have happened if they caught me. Even as I'm typing this, I still have those thoughts. I eventually fell asleep, and I woke up and told my parents what happened. They were thankful that my friend and I were okay, but were upset for us that we chose to walk home and should have accepted the lift from my other friend, or even called them, and they would have picked us up. Regardless, we filed a police report, and I gave them all the information I could. Unfortunately, we never heard anything about it again, and I wonder sometimes what the hell they've been doing ever since. I really hope they never harmed another person after that. I can't express how thankful I am that we managed to get away from those freaks, and to this day, this incident is still the scariest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. This incident definitely made me more wary of my surroundings, and I try to do my best to avoid situations where I need to walk late at night, whether I'm by myself or not. I don't know what would have happened had those people had gotten their hands on me, but I do know one thing. I never want to meet those people ever again. I'm a woman, so I have so many, but here's one of the weirdest. It's gonna be a bit long, and I apologize. I was 16, in a group of 5 girls who had just left a big New Year's concert party. It was maybe 3:30 a.m., and we were walking back to one of the girls' apartments who lived closest to the venue for a sleepover. We were tipsy and chatting. As is common in larger groups, the chatting had split into two groups, one of three, with me walking in front, two more lagging a little behind. I tended to be very aware of my surroundings. I had noticed a guy walking behind all of us, but he was alone, showed no interest, so I dismissed him. Then, for some reason I can't remember, the group decided to cross the street and walk on the other sidewalk. I noticed the guy cross too behind us. After about 30 seconds, we decided, nope, other sidewalk was better, and crossed back over. The guy crosses back too. Okay, that's not a coincidence. Now he's got my attention. I side-eye my friend, and no words are necessary. She spotted him too, and it's weird. The three of us gently pick up the pace. The two behind us notice nothing and start lagging farther and farther behind. I think, great, how do I get them to realize what's going on without tipping off the creeper that we're onto him? I ask one of them for something from her purse and slow down, but I don't stop, hoping that will make her speed up to catch up with me. It kind of works, and when she's in earshot, I hiss, "Move your ass! There's a creeper behind you. Let's get back to the apartment." She rolls her eyes at me, thinking I'm being dramatic, but speeds up a little. Second legger speeds up a bit to continue her conversation. All of this has made us slow down quite a bit, and so Creeper has significantly closed the distance. By the time we reach the apartment complex, we've practically leapt up the stairs. Our friend had gotten her keys out and ready, and opens the glass door as Creeper walks up the first step behind us. We manage to get everyone in just in time to close the door in the Creeper's face. Without missing a beat, Creeper just lifts his arms and starts double fist banging on the glass door, rattling it loudly in its frame. Legger friend lets out a squeal of fright. She didn't expect me to be right. The weirdest part? Creeper had no change of expression, no excuses, no laughing. He didn't even make eye contact with any of us. He just banged and banged on the door as if he had always intended to do so, and it had nothing to do with us. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably under a minute, he just dropped his arms, turned around, and strode off. We didn't want to see if he'd come back. We got our butts up to the apartment. I wonder about that night sometimes. What exactly were his intentions? What if we never double-crossed the street? It was 5 against 1, and not in the US, so a gun was highly unlikely. But what exactly was he thinking? What if we hadn't gotten the door shut on time? Maybe he was an excellent actor, just trying to scare us. Maybe not. Either way, he succeeded in creeping us the fuck out. I am in London, UK. We are in a Tier 4 lockdown. Stay in your home, only go out for one shopping trip or exercise. No mixing with people outside of your own home or support bubble, etc., etc. With a mutating strain of COVID-19 rampaging through London, hospital beds nearly at capacity, and death toll rising, it made sense to stay indoors as much as possible. But every human being has a breaking point, and mine was 8 days of wandering around my one-bedroom apartment. I had talked myself out on Zoom and had run out of conversations to talk to myself about. At 10 p.m. New Year's Eve, I decided to get some air, allowed within the rules of Tier 4, and go for a quick walk the perimeter around the local park, all on main roads. It takes about 40 minutes. The plan was to stop at a local grocery store and pick up a bottle of red wine on the way back. Stepped out with mask firmly affixed and started walking. One thing that I was not prepared for was the eerily empty and almost silent streets. As it was just below freezing, I decided to hustle and cut through some side streets first. In hindsight, a big mistake. Navigating myself through very quiet side streets, I neared the park when I saw a van, Mercedes Sprinter size, turn in and rapidly approach me. Deciding to let them pass before crossing, I came to a halt. The van began to slow as it approached me. I could see the cab was occupied by two men, between 25 to 40 years of age. Then it stopped. Window rolled down. One man leaned out.
Hey friend, we are lost. Can you tell me to so-and-so station?
The accent was not from the UK, and I'm not going to state its origin, as I'm not going to get into stereotypes. Alarm bells began to ring out immediately. What was a van doing out at this time, and why directions to the local train station in the middle of a Tier 4 lockdown? The van had stopped, so the side door was facing me. I stepped back a few paces and gave directions very quickly.
I did not understand at all. I think best if you show us.
With that, he opens his door, and the side door to the van is open to reveal another two men. I just turned and ran down the side street that I had emerged from.
Shit, take the van around. I follow him.
Knowing that these guys were fitter and younger than I, a foot trace to my apartment building was out of the question. The only advantage that I had was a head start and hopefully local knowledge of the streets. The side streets lead into a larger street that has homes all with large hedges. I ran past a few homes and entered the front garden of a house that had the most imposing and opaque hedge. It was unlit. I ducked down. Lucky for me, that house did not have a motor sensor light. Within a few seconds, I could hear footsteps. They went past me, stopped. I peeked through the hedge vegetation, very limited view, to see the man who had asked for directions. He was a few houses down from me and on the opposite side of the street. He was looking around. Then the sound of the vehicle. I thought, oh no, the van. Lucky for me, it was a car. The man looked at his phone, looked around, pretending he was checking something, and then walked, leaving the residential street as quickly as possible. The car continued its way. I waited for another 10 minutes, sitting behind the hedge in the front garden, practicing an explanation if the house lights came on. The house stayed unlit, and after my allotted time, I rose and quickly walked back to my apartment building, keeping to shadows and reacting to every sound. I made it back, bolted the front door. Only when I sat down did I understand what I had just avoided. All this for some air and a bottle of red? I poured myself a black coffee and I debated calling the police. But what would I say? Had anything really happened that they could act on? Intuition of being kidnapped or being in danger is not enough evidence. Plus, being a man, this would not be a priority, especially on a night that they would be overstretched on. I just waited in the new year, realizing that I had a lucky escape and that I should stock up on red wine at a more decent time.